psychosomatique, il est dit donc souvent qu'il y a
In books referring to psychosomatic, it's often said that there is an active conflict, and therefore to heal, to get rid of the symptom, one must understand the message of the symptom. And this student understands that in biodecoding, the symptom appears once the conflict is resolved. So she asks if it's still useful to understand the meaning of the symptom.
Il y a plusieurs choses intéressantes dans cette question.
There are many interesting aspects to this question, which we need to bring back to the reality of the consultation. There are many theories. People think and they like to think. Civilized people like to think. It's a disease. So they keep thinking, and there are many theories that exist. They try to understand, and the left brain is the king in this way of being. But it doesn't reflect reality. We notice that in our societies, there are more and more people who think, who are intellectual, but that doesn't mean that people are happier. Because the mental, the mind, is limited, and just understanding disease is not enough. To understand with the mind is not enough. It's almost useless to understand. What's important is to live, to experience things. There are many books out there which try to explain children's education, relationships, happiness, etc. And most of the time this is not enough. So disease is not related to understanding but to feeling, experiencing, meaning with the body, with the cells. Understanding is in the brain and feeling is in the body. That was my first point. The second aspect of the question is that the symptom appears, in other words, the body reacts when there are an active conflict. For instance, I eat a rotten food, immediately I vomit, I get sick. To vomit is a symptom because I have to eliminate this toxic substance. Once it's done, I'm not going to eat again right away. Once I have vomited the rotten food, I'm tired. Maybe I'll have a headache. I may need to lay down. Or I may go on a diet. So there's a recovery period. Someone who fractured his bone because of an accident, for example, he will recalcify his bone, and the symptoms of recalcification may be inflammation and pain, which will force him to immobilization. So he's healing from his fracture or from a wound on the skin, like after a surgery, for example. When there is a conflict, there are symptoms, and when there is no conflict, other symptoms of recovery and rejuvenation appear. They are simply different symptoms. Symptoms of active conflict and symptoms of recovery, rejuvenation, which correspond in medical observations to the sympathikotonia and parasympathikotonia. The first nervous system, the orthosympathetic nervous system, is presented by doctors as the stress system. And the other system, the parasympathetic nervous system, is presented as the recovery system. The second part of the question is when we are in the recovery phase with the specific symptoms associated with it, is it still useful to understand and resolve the emotional conflict? When we are in the repair phase, for instance, the child is separated from his mom, his skin is dry, he is sad, and then he gets back with his mom again. He's happy. He repairs his skin with an inflammatory eczema. So it's important to understand those two phases to get reassured and not to fall back into the conflict and fears of any kind. It's Voltaire who said a long time ago, to be free, one must be informed. So the information completes the physical and emotional awareness. So to answer the question, yes, it's important to understand what is underlying the symptom, even if we are in the recovery phase. And maybe we can add that it prevents from not falling back again into sickness if one day we face again the same type of conflict. Yes, we're dealing with the programming conflict, so yes.